Like, I just thought this movie was kind of messy, but at the same time, I loved it because it's got a bunch of black people in it and a bunch of women in roles that black people and women are almost never in. Like, these roles are not for us most of the time.
You're gonna get roasted. You're gonna get roasted in the comments because
I know. I'm gonna get it. See, and this is kind of the thing. Should I lie so we can get 100 more films like this, or should I be honest and maybe risk offending someone or risk hurting someone? I think I'm gonna go with the honest route. It's the hardest route. The easy way is to say it was great, it was perfect, A++, and that would be a lie, right? And I can't do that.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to a new episode of Mostly Wrong Opinions. I am Tyrone. That is Devin. Wait! Before you pick up your spear, you go chopping off heads of everybody. Hit that subscribe button right there. Do that first before you go over there and be a warrior in the kingdom of the Hummy. Now, let's get into this film starring Viola Davis. This is The Woman King.
An evil is coming that threatens our kingdom, our freedom. But we have a weapon.
As far as Hollywood goes, we are somewhere completely foreign, and that is Africa. This is a culture, or this particular culture that we explored is somewhere that Hollywood almost never goes. This is a continent that Hollywood almost never goes, unless there's a big monkey that's going to climb the Empire State Building later. So this is a virtually unexplored territory for Hollywood, and I think that's just awesome. I loved the setting. I love the idea, and I never, and maybe this is because I'm American. Went to an American school. I knew nothing of this tribe. Yep. I knew nothing of this king, and I really enjoyed learning a lot because apparently the king was a real man. This tribe was a real tribe. I loved learning a lot about that and their complex relationship to the transatlantic slave trade, where this king, he came to power through some sort of a violent coup with his general, played by Viola Davis, helped him get there. And now that he's king, he's like, we're going to change things up. We are not going to make money through the slave trade. We're going to make money by selling palm oil. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's really interesting. But then this rival tribe has their own ideas because they are deep into the slave trade. They're really deep. And they're like, yo, if you don't continue, you're going to mess up everybody, And so this is the fact that both of these tribes are kind of teetering on this, horror of the slave trade. Yeah. I think that is fascinating. And I think that topic is challenging. I think that's something that most people have never really engaged with on screen. Certainly not from this point of view, not from an African's point of view, maybe from an American's point of view. So I think that kind of stuff is really interesting. And I would love to see 100 more of these films. Mostly because, and this is where I'm going to get in trouble here, I didn't think this movie landed the execution, and that's really tough for me to say because I really loved everything this film stood for.
Why didn't you think that it landed the execution? That's what people are going to be getting in the comments about and start getting their own opinion. You don't like all this blackness going up in here, but you just said that you like the Viola Davis.
I didn't think it landed it because I thought the movie was slow.
It was slow. That was one thing.
I felt every minute of this film. I'm like, dog. And then some of the conversations that it wants to have about the slave trade, I feel like we're muddled, and there are characters that were involved in the slave trade that were punished, but then there are other characters that are also involved in the slave trade that it was excused. It was like, okay. And I'm like, so I'm like...
Like the king itself?
Yes, like the king, like the mixed guy. He kind of got off too, even though he came there. He actually bought a slave. He bought one of our characters.
Just to set her free.
What is that? That's fuck. No. At that point though, I was like retaliating against the film. I was like, he did not just buy this woman and be like, sometimes buying humans is okay if you love them. I'm like, excuse me? Like, no. Like Metal Gear Solid, I had a little thing on my head. I was like, what? Yeah, exactly. I was like, did he just buy our main character? And then I'm like, yo, did this movie spend 2 hours telling us how much of a badass she is, only for her to be saved by some man? I'm like, excuse me? Like, I didn't like none of that shit neither. And then the movie moves into this like ridiculous melodrama where it's like, oh, not only is this girl great, but this girl is our main character's daughter. I'm like, what? It's like a soap opera.
When it moved into that, it really went from a story that I am engaged in to what's going on in Love and Hip Hop, but African stuff.
Yeah, it just felt preposterous. I felt like I was watching like a telenovela at that point, you know? And so I was like, huh? Why would you stick that in this film? You know, I'm like, no, baby, no. You know what I'm saying?
No, baby, don't do that, baby.
What is you doing, baby?
And then the movie did some other more really interesting things where there's another character. He has a Portuguese father, but an African mother. And he literally has one foot in one world and another foot in another world. And I thought that was really interesting. That's something, again, personally, I've never seen.
Looking like Prince got his wardrobe from.
Personally, that's something I've never seen be explored on film. The struggles of people who are mixed and they have to try and appease both sides. I just thought that was really interesting. And then they're like, so anyway, let's have this really interesting guy buy a slave.
What is his face? Look at his face, everybody! Look at that face over there.
I just struggle with that, man. Like, yo,
no.
Why did the guy need to save her in the first place? Wasn't she the badass and he's the foo-foo one? Like, why did they write it like that? Why, how come she couldn't save herself? I thought that's what the movie was gearing up to. She saved herself 100 times before, but then now it's like, oh, she fell in love with this dude, and now the dude freaking purchased her to save her? Man, I did not like that, dude. So anyway, all this to say is I don't want to harp on the negative because there's so much positive.
So much positive,
right?
People.
So
don't
much
get in the
positive.
comments
There's
talking
so
about
much,
we didn't like this thing like that, all right? Yeah.
You say what you want in the comments.
Say what you want, but still, you're wrong.
But there's so much positive. There's so much to like about this film. Again, the actors,
powerhouses, dude.
Everybody absolutely destroyed the game, and I feel like Hollywood should be straight up embarrassed that one movie has this much talent, and most of these people are not, other than Viola Davis, they are not household names.
Right?
And it's like, how are these people not all stars? And you know why? It's because they're the wrong color, and it's like that should just humiliate and embarrass everyone.
You got John Boyega putting in a great performance as the king, and he said being around an all-black cast, all-black crew, it's just something that's different, and, you know. And I'm like, I'm there with you, brother.
Yeah, John Boyega has so much talent, it's insane. Viola Davis, outrageous. You know what I'm saying? Lashana Lynch, crazy. And there are people who I did not recognize, like the young girl, never seen it before, destroyed it. So there's a lot of positives here. I thought some of the cinematography was fantastic.
Yeah.
I thought some of the music was fantastic. I thought there were some really strong beats, especially some of the action. This was action almost exclusively led by Black women. I'm not sure if I've ever seen that before.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so that's just fantastic. There's a lot to not just like, there's a lot to love in this film. A lot to
directed
love.
by a Black woman. Okay.
Exactly. Directed by Black women. How often do you see that? Again, I think this movie should just embarrass Hollywood. That all this talent is just like left on the burner. And it's like, why would you do that? This is where I'm gonna roast it. Why is Zack Snyder working? When you've got this much talent just sitting around, how does he have a career? You know what I'm saying?
Man, you about to get
why are we messing with some of these like mid-level guys and giving them so much high profile films, and people with this much talent are like barely here? Like that's criminal. You know what I mean?
Why are we messing with the Josh Whedons of the world?
Yeah. How did Josh Whedon have such a long, ridiculous career?
The director of this film is Gina Prince Bythewood.
Fantastic. Loved it. I thought she was great. I thought this movie flirted with greatness to me. But when it fell, I mean, when it fell, it fell hard.
Yeah.
I'm like, why does the rival tribe get condemned for participating in the slave trade, but John Boyega's people do not? They even explicitly said that all of their riches, all of their weapons
and weapons
were purchased through the slave trade.
Yeah.
I'm like, can we talk about that? And the movie's like, no. And I'm like, oh man, we really should.
That's probably why Lupita Nyong'o did not want to be in this film, because it's like,
I don't know.
I know there's some article out there that she was slayed to do this film, and she's like,
Trying to use nuance on the internet don't work, you know. And I know I'm setting myself up for failure because I'm trying to use nuance on the internet, and this ain't the forum for that shit, right? So, but you know what? All I can be is me. I have a choice to either lie and be someone else, pretend and not be me, and maybe that lie might be good for, like, more beneficial for other movies, but that wouldn't be me.
Would be me.
So I did not think it spoke about these big issues in the nuanced way it thought it was.
Right, boom. But let's go ahead and get into the rating of The Woman King. Like I said, I feel that everyone in this film did an amazing job. The director did a great job. Her cinematographer did a pretty good job. But also, I do feel that, it was pretty slow, and it's like not really taking responsibility for their actions in the actual slave trade, kind of making it like they are the heroes of this story, when they're all responsible for what's going on.
Right. It passed judgment on certain characters, like the Portuguese guy that the mixed guy traveled with. It passed judgment on him, but not the mixed guy. And I'm like, well, why? And then I'm like, okay, so you can pass judgment on the Portuguese guy, but not John Boyega. Why? Isn't he sitting on a throne literally drenched in blood because it was bought through the slave trade, you know? So the movie didn't really talk about that kind of things. Now, the movie was slow, but I want to say that it was never boring. I was not bored, but it was slow. It was like a conversation that meanders too much, and you're like, come on, let's get to the point, man. Let's go. Let's get to the point.
So with that being said, I'm going to give this film a B. This was pretty well done. So
I enjoyed this film. I like this film. I am so split and divided on this film. My heart wants to give this film an A once again, because my heart loved this film. I love everything this film stands for. I love almost everything this film did. You know what I mean? Like, I want to put this film on the highest pedestal that I can. But if I'm gonna be an honest broker with you, I was not completely entertained. I liked the conversations that the film brought up. I liked the themes that the film talks about. I liked the angle that it took from these things. But it wasn't perfect, right? And it was a little messy, and it didn't like one character for doing something that another character did. But all this together, I'm gonna give this film a B. Also a B, just like you, Tyrone. I really enjoyed this film, but it had issues that I wish wasn't there, because I want to love this film, right? I want to. The movie is trying to hug me, and I'm trying to hug it, but there's just something in the way, man. And like,
hey, it ain't that dead body from the previous film again, is it? There's people that apparently love the smell of that dead body, because we see from the comments last video.
How are you a pedophile? Whatever. That's your bag, dude. If that's the hill you want to die
That's
on,
the hill he wants to die on, dude.
hey,
Man.
it's called Mostly Wrong Opinions. That's your opinion. Hey, I ain't getting nowhere near it. You know what I'm saying? If that's okay, you go ahead.
I'm so confused with people, man, on that. But anyway.
Oh, but I want to say, I recommend this film big time, big
Yes.
time. Tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell everybody, tell people you love, tell people you hate. I want this film to do well.
Yes.
I hope Hollywood does that stupid thing that they do where they think they see a trend, but it's all surface level. They're like, oh, you remember back when Happy Feet was big? They're like, oh, penguins are all cool. I want people to be like, oh, Negroes are the shit now. We're trending. Do it. You know what I'm saying? Put us in film. One film shouldn't have all this power, okay? One film shouldn't do this. Why are you letting one film by the lady who made Love and Basketball body slam everyone when it comes to acting prowess?
She sure did direct that, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. She sure did.
I totally forgot that she directed that. Play for your heart.
One game, one-on-one.
For what?
Your heart.
So I say go out, see this film, see it twice, see it 3 times, buy it on DVD, buy it on Blu-ray, watch it on Netflix. We need 100 of these movies. I'm so sick of seeing movies with white dudes, dude. Oh my God. And if you're not tired of it, ask yourself why. Why do you want to see the same thing over and over and over and over? Are you not bored? I am. So I want to see more new things. And if you support this film, you might get new toys. And I want to play with new toys. I want to play with new things. I want to engage with new movies. All of my power for the rest of the year is going to be trying to lift up The Woman King. I want to see more of this. But unfortunately, I didn't like the movie that much. But still, support it.
My man. Hey, I gave this film a B. Devin gave this film a B. We both recommend you go and see this film. Get out there to the theaters, wherever your Cineplex is, because that's what that's called. Go watch The Woman King.
Don't know, take my power.
Hey, thank you for clicking on this video. We really appreciate you guys. Our subscriber count has been increasing. It's been going up. Maybe you guys agree with us or disagree with us, whatever it is. We do appreciate it. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button right down there. All right. And if you did agree with our rating of this, hit that thumbs up. It does help out this channel. It gets us out there. You know what I'm saying?
Or if you just like the video, you just like me, you just like Tyrone, give us one of these. Let's say you hate us, still give us one of these.
But if you truly do, give us a thumbs down. Whatever it is your opinion. But just remember one thing. It is mostly wrong. See you guys in another video. Peace. Shimmy some more.